Hey everyone, this is Nancy from Rise Higher Astrology, and I hope that you're all doing well. I hope that you've had a great weekend. So, today I want to talk to you a bit about why it's so important for you to take at least one peek at your sidereal birth chart at least once in your lifetime. This can literally save you years of pain, years of suffering. And the reason why we want to look at it is because at the time of your birth, when your soul enters your body, all seven of your chakra centers are activated, and each one of the seven planets, the seven grahas, each one of them activates a specific chakra center in your body. And so, as you know, the very time of your birth is your birth chart. It's a snapshot, it's a fingerprint of your soul, of you entering into this realm. So, at the time of your birth, when your chakra systems were being activated and all the planets were imprinting the energy into your chakra systems, you need to ask yourself, were those planets in their signs of exaltation, or were they in their signs of their fall and debilitation? Were they in friendly signs or not so friendly signs? And this matters. So the sidereal system is 23 degrees and 27 minutes behind the tropical system. And they are the true planetary placements astronomically at the time of your birth. And yes, it matters because we need to know the exact dignity of those planets, whether they were in their fall, whether they were in their exaltation. So here's an example. A client of mine has Saturn in the sign of Taurus in his Western tropical chart. Well, in the sidereal system, his Saturn sits in the sign of Aries, and that is in its fall. 180 degrees across from his Saturn in Aries sits his Libra house. Saturn sitting directly across from Libra in the sidereal system in Vedic astrology, that is going to destroy Libra. And it's important to know this because almost all people who have their Saturn fallen in Aries, which destroys their Libra house, it can cause ailments. It can cause kidney stones. Why? Because Libra rules the kidneys in medical astrology. And I did go back through and I questioned hundreds of my clients, and for all of them who had fallen Saturn in Aries, almost all of them have had issues with their kidneys, specifically kidney stones. Okay. And there are certain remedies that you can take for that, but you need to know exactly where your Saturn sits. Now, does this mean if Saturn is not in Aries, you're not going to have issues with kidneys? No, of course not. But if you do have a fallen Saturn in Aries, it does make you more susceptible to developing problems. Okay. Another example is another client of mine who has Venus sitting in the sign of Libra in her Western tropical chart. In her sidereal chart, her Venus is sitting at its worst possible place, which is in Virgo, approximately 27 degrees of Virgo. Very debilitated. Okay. And when she had her Venus Dasha in her Vedic astrology chart, when her Venus Dasha opened up, this became the worst time of her life. Okay. You just want to know these things. Had she known about this earlier in her life, it would have helped her maybe sidestep some of the challenges in her life that she experienced while she was going through her Venus Dasha. And then for me personally, my moon, my moon sits in the sign of Leo in the Western tropical, but in the sidereal system, my moon is located at 19 degrees of Cancer. So you might say, well, this is great. This is in its sign of This is in its home sign. It's in a sign where it's comfortable. But the lunar mansion within the sign of Cancer, where my natal moon sits, is in the lunar mansion called Ashleisha, and it's very challenging. It's a very turbulent lunar mansion. Not only that, but I was born during a new moon solar eclipse, and people who were born during eclipses, they're very powerful. However, if the moon is conjunct the south node, which is K2 in Vedic astrology, it makes the person very intuitive, very psychic, but it also makes the person extremely shy. And my natal moon in the sidereal chart is being aspected by five other planets, including three malefics. Okay. So when my moon dasha period opened in 2018, I went through the worst time with my marriage. Okay. I lost my marriage. I lost everything in 2018. And had I known that this was going to happen, um, again, there are years of suffering that could have been sidestepped had I known earlier on in life what this meant for me. Not only that, but I am a certified Western astrologer, and I was trained by a very famous astrologer. Okay. She did not tell me, nor did any of her instructors tell me that I was born during a new moon solar eclipse, and what that meant for me. So I didn't really find that out until, just a few years ago. I've been practicing astrology now for over 10 years and reading charts for longer than that. Um, but this is the reason why it's extremely important for you to look and see what's in your sidereal chart. So, um, many of you have reached out because you want to know how to access this on your own. So I'm going to teach you right now. You want to go to astroseek.com. And when you type it in, you'll see here on the screen that the AstroSeek, there's a hyphen between it. So you want to go to astroseek.com. And when you get onto the main page, you want to scroll all the way down. Okay. You're going to find the part that says Sidereal Vedic chart, and click on that. And then you're going to hit birth chart. And let's just we'll type in today's today's date. So today is May 19th, 2025. Okay. And it's always going to be on whole sign. Okay. You want to make sure of that. So we'll just say that it's around noontime, and we'll say Boston, Massachusetts. So you want to type that in and then click on calculate sidereal chart, and there you have it. So you have a few options here when you scroll down. Okay. You'll see up here on the upper right, you can do the transit chart to see what the transiting planets are doing to the natal. The natal obviously is going to be what's in the interior of the zodiac wheel, and then the transits are on the outside of the wheel. All right, but more interesting than that, you can look to see what your dasha periods are, because remember how I said it's important to know where your natal moon sits because you can look at the lunar mansion. So every person, when they're born, their moon sits in a specific sign, and within that sign, it sits in a specific lunar mansion. Okay, and this has to be in the sidereal system. So today at noontime, the moon was in the lunar mansion nakshatra called Dhanishta, and Dhanishta is ruled by Mars. So for the first almost 6 years, let's just say a person was born today, for the first almost 6 years of their life, their natal Mars will be in control of those years. And so you need to look to see if that Mars is being aspected well, or if it's not well aspected. That's going to determine the flavor, the experience, the kind of childhood that this person is going to have. Okay. So, so this is the reason why it's really important. When I started talking about the sidereal system, I had 50 people, 50, 50 people unsubscribed from my channel, and they're missing out. I'm not going to be everyone, I'm not going to, cry over it. It's their loss, but, you know, they're missing out on some really important information that can change their lives. Okay. So if you want to learn more from me, please hit subscribe and you will be getting more lessons from me. And I will be setting up a class in June so that I can take you through it all, and you can look at your chart, see what's coming for you over the next 12 months to 12 years if you'd like. Okay. All right. Have a great rest of your day.